Okay, where did atheism get started?
Where did atheism get started?
Who was the first
The first atheist?
big atheist
Yeah. So
who went around the country and started spreading atheism to anyone that would hear it?
listen to us all.
Yeah.
No, I think that, again, I think what I said earlier, there's always been people that just didn't believe in a God.
Okay.
Right? I mean, no, I think it's just that's probably been there for,
We just have
almost
smarter
all of
reasons to not
humanity.
believe in God now?
Well, what I was going to say was, there was a rise of atheism that had to do with Greek, philosophy, in the 5th century, BC. And so there's that. But I think that what we think of atheism, the way we're understanding atheism, is the atheism that rose out of the Enlightenment period.
Okay.
In the 18th century, and then, really gaining traction with, the melding of it together with science as we're going from the 19th into the 20th and through the 20th century.
Okay.
And so I think that's, that's kind of the sketch, if you were, of the atheism that we often relate to and understand today.
And now we have internet atheists, podcast atheists.
Yes.
Who are the best?
Yeah. And again, and I think atheism has changed in some ways. I think there's still the atheism that is really...
Nothing is different?
Well, I think atheism that we saw in the 19th and 20th century really rooted and grounded in science.
Okay.
I think that atheism has I think there's an atheism that's moved now. 'Cause you had that, and then you had the new atheism with Richard Dawkins and Hitchens and that group, and they kind of really kind of recharged that whole, science against religion thing, or science against God.
In the 90s?
Yeah, the 90s into the 2000s. And so there was a big movement of that. And so in the new atheism gave this kind of charge, rah, rah, rah. And what's interesting is, with the new atheist, they really kind of created their own movement, and now it's kind of petered out. Like people are just like, wait a minute, that doesn't give really good answers. And it doesn't. It just didn't give the answers I think a lot of people were hoping it was going to give, right? The idea of, it's going to explain it's going to answer basically every answer or question I've got in my life, right? Of why I'm here and what I'm doing and all this and it just didn't provide that. But now I think there's an atheism that's more rooted in what I'll call the critical theory worldview.
Okay.
And so that there's an atheism that's embedded in there of it's more like it's atheism, but it's a lot of humanism attached to it. In other words, it's about us. It's about the understanding of, the oppressed versus, I've told this before, the oppressed versus the oppressor, but it's a lot of idea of...
So how do you decide amidst all that there's also no God?
Yeah, because I think that the idea is that because of, that the way I have been oppressed in this manner, and again, oftentimes it's framed because of the Judeo-Christian God and their beliefs on, sexuality and gender, on, all of that, right? Then, therefore, I'm rejecting Judeo-Christianity. I'm rejecting their morality. I'm rejecting their understanding of God, their understanding of gender and sex and race. And
so it's a rejection
of all of that. And therefore, I'm going to embrace something that is ideologically opposed to it.
Okay.
And it's a form of atheism.
Okay.
Okay. Now, some might say, well,
Sounds
I'm not
like creating new gods.
Why do you say that?
It just sounds like believing in different gods and not believing in.
Well, and I think for me, it is the idea of a belief system.
Right.
Right.
Because they believe in something else.
Correct. So, if
which is generally just the opposite of whatever Christians believe.
Right. So whereas the traditional atheism that's melded with science and modern worldview, that kind of thing, where it was very fundamentally against religion, I think that critical theory and the atheism that's been attached to it actually has its own belief system. It's a religion.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's the difference of it. It is to me an exchange of one religion for the other. And I don't think they would ever view it that way,
Right.
But it has become that. Like there is an ideological component of critical theory that is religious to its bone, to its core.
That's why I said that, because it seems like they have a bunch of different gods they believe in, and they don't all fit together.
Well, okay, and that's true.
Like, well, yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like,
it seems like they're incompatible things to all believe in at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, so we moved from modernism to postmodernism.
Yeah.
Right. So, postmodernism was like, whatever, like, just believe whatever you want to. Like, it's all relative.
Yeah.
Like, we can all like coexist.
But now we're in postmodernism where both sides are like, no, you have to believe what we believe.
Correct. We have way moved past, postmodernism, and now we're in this, like you said, postmodernism, where I call critical theory. And absolutely, it's a very much a black and white, us them mentality.
If this crusade ever gets hot, I'm on your side, because they're the ones with all the guns.
Yeah, and so it's just a.
I'll put the Jesus fish on the back of my car and wear my cross necklace. And,
right, you're swearing your allegiance.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so
wave the Christian flag.
Constantly. All right, so I think that
never not take my Bible anywhere. Got it on me at all times.
Right. You're not using that Bible app. No, sir.
That reminds me of a verse.
Right.
That pertains to this conversation that was nothing about God the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be me.
That's gonna be... I got some camo if you want to wear it too. So, but I think so. What's happened is this movement to critical theory. I mean, you're right. There's a lot of it is interesting because there's a lot of very much clear cut. It has to be this, has to be this, has to be this. But like on its logical face value of it, like even the groups that are quote unquote together actually are opposed at times.
Right?
And it is such an interesting dynamic because, often because of the idea of intersectionality, in other words, how gender connects with sexuality, which connects with, one's religion, which connects with one's own economic background, which connects to one's own educational background, which connects to one's race, those kind of things, right? Which connects to one's religion. It really is about like, how much of a minority or how much of an oppressed am I, right?
Right.
Like how many points do I score on all of the categories?
Right.
And
like if a gay black guy and a trans person in a wheelchair got in a fight, who do we root for? Right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. I mean, because
who do we hope dies?
Right. Because and you're not wrong. Like it's the idea. Okay, well here's a guy, and you just mentioned he's gay and black, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, so here's two points for this guy, right?
Right.
And then you said it was another guy,
a disabled person,
right?
And
so
2 points for that person. So at the end of the day, which funeral are we going to?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of the. And that's the interesting thing of it, right? Like because of how intersectionality works and how much of a victim one individual is versus another, right?
Right. And that's the hierarchy of the gods.
That's in a lot of ways, yeah.
Anyway, that's what that feels like.
Yeah,
but this isn't atheism.
No, I know. But you're right that this kind of atheism that's been melded together with this critical theory is. It is its own religion. They really have their own belief system, and really the God is a God of power. Who has the power? Who has more power than the other?
Right.
And the idea of pursuing that power to overthrow others in quote unquote power. It's a power game, and it's kind of a, I don't know, man. It's a messed up kind of place. But anyways, for atheism that connects with that, and obviously you've got individuals that hold with a critical theory that would say I'm a Christian or whatever, right? But then often they would not say that Christianity is the only way, right? They're still holding to more of a postmodern, pluralistic, viewpoint, polytheistic viewpoint. So
that's the history of atheism.
Yeah, so atheism, I think, finds itself in an interesting place today that's not maybe as rooted in science as often as it is rooted in other things that I think are more
anti-Christian,
and that are probably hinged more toward emotion and feeling rather than logic and science. Okay. Although
they exist too.
That exists as well, right? Okay. So I don't want anyone to. I don't like. So if you're like you're an atheist listening to this and you very much hold to science or you hold to like a logical, I'm not discounting that exists. It's just you're just seeing a rise of something else now.
Okay. Well, that brings me to my next question.
Okay.
Which is, why do atheists always have to not believe in Christian God more than all the other gods? And let you know that Christians are wrong way more than any other religion is wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I think
because that's true, right?
I think especially in the experience in the
there's no huge Muslim atheist movement that I've ever heard of.
No, I'm not a Muslim atheist movement. No, you're not going to blend those two worlds together. And so like
or what is? Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like in the sense of okay, yeah, in Europe and in the United States of America, where atheism has its its roots and its strongholds, right? Mm-hmm. Where you have more atheists there. I mean, we could obviously throw in. We could start throwing in having conversations about what's going on in with Russia or China or right. Like all that's there too, but but let's stick to the Western. Let's stick to Western thought of atheism.
I don't even get why we talk about that.
All right, okay. So, but my point just being is,
well, now I have to know what you're going to say.
Okay, all right. Well, because in China you've got you have atheists, but then you also have individuals that are very religious in China.
Okay.
Yeah. In Russia, there's a large amount of atheists. So that's why I was saying, like, when
isn't Russia
in Europe
Christian?
Is it Christian?
Yeah.
No.
I thought Russia was Christian.
Now, is there a Russian Orthodox church that's ran by the state? Yes.
That's what I meant.
Okay. Ran by the state being the key part to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pope Putin.
And so it's controlled.
Okay.
So it's not the free Christianity we know in our country today. Okay.
Right.
But my point is, I think that we see the anti-Christian movement in atheism because of the history of Christianity as being the majority in Europe, although that's not the case anymore, and in America.
Okay.
Where that's declining, right?
Okay.
And so I think that's why why it's kind of atheism is geared more toward an anti-Christian slant is because it's in the context of where Christianity was the stronghold, and it's the idea of, come on, guys, we're smarter than this, we're better than this. We don't have to believe something so pathetically simple-minded as Christianity.
Okay.
So
I kind of like that it's simple-minded sometimes.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually do too.
You're like, just come and say this thing, but really mean it. But say this thing, and then you're good.
Yeah.
Have fun. It's not bad, right?
So that means a bit more involved in that.
Just punched in for a eternity of awesomeness.
No, there's not just the fire insurance that's involved.
Okay.
It's more than that.
All right. Well, whatever. We can talk about
it. We have talked about it. No, we will. Go listen to our other episodes.
All right.